Hello there, future scholars. Welcome back to eCoreAcademy. My name is Anita and today I will be teaching a lesson under our course name, Algebra II. So Algebra II is a high school course, again, for you enrichment learners. Today we will be doing the second video of my mini 4-episode series on how to use the TI calculator, the Texas Instrument calculator, that many of you commonly use in high school. So this is my second episode, and it'll be on graphing features of the calculator. I will be walking you through how to graph on the TI calculator. So you guys can pull out your Texas Instrument 83 or 84. Both will work perfectly fine. So before I get into the actual content, I want to ask you guys, please like this video and subscribe to our channel so that you'll be notified of future content of both mine and my brother's, and so that you guys can follow along with this Algebra 2 course. I'll be posting 2 more tutorial videos on the Texas Instrument calculator to help you guys as much as I possibly can. So again, AJ and I love this channel and we really love our work, but we really need support from you guys, and we need to see that people are interested. So please support us by subscribing to this channel. All right, enough of that. Let's get right into our content for today. So like I said, we're doing graphing features. So we're getting your Texas Instrument to plot your functions for you. You don't need that graph paper, that gridded paper, your line paper. You don't need that anymore because your Texas Instrument will graph it for you. So I just want to let you guys know that, like I said, this is going to be the second episode in my 4-episode mini-series on how to use a Texas Instrument calculator. So I have a Algebra 2 playlist on the YouTube channel, so I arranged it in the correct order. So please access that and use your resources to your advantage. That playlist is organized for you guys and has the correct order. So go through that, watch my other videos, and also watch the Texas Instrument videos that will be going up very soon. Okay, so let's recap what I went over in my last video. So first of all, the Texas Instrument calculator is your TI 83 and 84. In high school, we usually use the 83 or 84. So I have an 84. That's what I've been using. Otherwise, how you can get it. So that's what I recapped in the last video. You can get this calculator off of Amazon and Office Depot. Those are probably the 2 most convenient ways to get it. It's priced from about $100 to $115. It might seem a little bit expensive, but trust me, it's a worthwhile investment for high school and college. So I will link those in the description box where you can actually purchase this calculator if you're interested. If you're a little bit tight on money, don't worry. There's a lot of free online demo versions you guys can use. I'll also link that in the description box. And many high schools actually let you lend you calculators, or you can rent them. I know during this COVID situation that might be a little bit difficult, but trust me, there are a lot of alternatives. What else did I recap? All right, so this is an ongoing learning process. So I'll be teaching you guys the basics in these videos, but as we go through more Algebra 2 lessons, I'll be incorporating the calculator as much as possible. For example, one of my future videos are going to be on 3 variable systems. So I'll be teaching you how to use a calculator also for those. So it's an ongoing learning process. I'll continuously be teaching you how to implement your calculator as much as possible. And lastly, I want you guys to grab your calculator so you can follow along with this video. You can pause it, do whatever you need. Just make sure you get through the video and you understand everything I'm talking about. As for how this video is going to be formatted, it's going to be formatted like my last video, where I have the instructions up here on the screen for you guys, and then you guys can follow along. I'll also have this really large picture of a TI-84 that'll be more advantageous for those of you who are watching this on mobile, because I will be pointing out with my cursor which buttons to press. For those of you who are watching this on a bigger screen like a tablet or a PC, you guys can just look at my webcam, but instead of my face, you'll see the my actual calculator, and I'll actually do it on that calculator to show you how it would look if you yourself were doing it. So I'm trying to set this up as easy as possible for you guys. Before I switch my webcam over to the calculator, let's address in this little box here what we're going to be learning today. Today is going to be a bit shorter video because I want to introduce you to the graphing features, and this is especially an ongoing process because as we graph different kinds of functions, I'll be teaching you the properties of them on the TI. So I'm going to introduce you to the Y equals key. I'm going to show you window settings, zoom features, the GT features, how to access table, and the calc menu. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. Hope you guys enjoy. Hey guys, welcome back. I'm taking a new clip where I switched my webcam over to my TI-84 Plus calculator. I propped it up on my textbook so you have better visuals than even my last video, so you can see the screen better and the keypad better, especially if you're viewing on a smaller screen like a phone. So hopefully this is helpful. Please leave a comment down below if this kind of viewing is easier for you. It'll be really helpful to know your feedback. Alright, let's get into it. So the first thing I want to show you is the y equals key. If you remember from that little box of let's address things that I showed you from my last clip, this is the first thing listed there. So the y equals key. So you would use the y equals key to input an equation you want to graph. Let's say I want to graph the equation y equals x plus 1. Instead of having to take out some lined paper or gridded paper and doing it by hand, I can just have my TI-84 or 83 graph it. So let me first show you up here on this picture of where the y equals key is. So if you follow my cursor, it's right here. If you see this top row of commands, you see y equals window, zoom, trace, graph. The y equals key is right here. Above it, it'll say stat plot. So this is exactly where the y equals key is. So what you do is you hit that y equals key, and then you'll be brought to a new screen, and that's where you would type in your new equation. So let me show you that first on my TI-84. So come back over here to the webcam, and I'll show you how to put an equation into your TI-84. So again, I'm going to turn it on by pressing the on button, and then my screen turns on. And then I come to this the normal home screen kind of area. So first, in order to get to that y equals area, that place where I can input my function, I hit this y equals key right here. And then I get this pretty much column of y1, y2, y3. So these are all the different aligns or functions you can graph. So this is where I would input what I want to graph. Let's use the example I just mentioned, x plus 1. Let's say I want to graph x plus 1. So I would type x plus 1 into that where the blinking cursor is, into my y1. So in order to do that, I would hit the special numerals key. Mine is set on x plus 1, if you guys remember from my last video. So I would press this to get my x. Then I would press the plus sign. Then I would press the 1. And then let me bring you back up to the screen. You guys see it has y1. The y1 is equal to x plus 1. So that's what my calculator is going to graph. All right, so that is set up. So the next part, if you guys come back over here to my instructions, is you want to actually graph your equation. To do this, you simply just want to hit the graph key. So if you come over to the picture here, the graph key is right at the end of that top row of commands I showed you. So y equals window, zoom, trace, graph. So that's what you want to hit if you actually want to see the equation you put in your y equals graphed. So let's come back over here to the webcam, and I'm going to show you how it looks. So I'm going to hit the graph key. And you gotta wait, and then it'll actually graph your equation for you, which I think is really, really cool. So special feature of this Texas Instrument 83 and 84, they graph your equations for you, and you should definitely take advantage of this feature so you're not wasting your time graphing easy equations. All right, before I go on to the next screen, I wanted to leave a little tip for you guys. So in order to leave a specific screen, you want to hit the second key and mode. So you might be thinking, Anita, what do you mean by this? Okay, so let's use an example. Let's say, come over here to the webcam. I'm stuck on the graph screen, but I want to go back to my home screen. So how would I do that? First, you want to hit the second key, and then you want to hit the mode key. So the second key, come over here to the picture, is right here. If I have to remind you. So you press the second key, and right here, and then you hit the mode key. Mode key is right, it's to the right of it. So second key and then mode key. If you guys come over here to the webcam, I'll show you. So let's say I wanted to leave this graph screen. Second key, mode key. I come back to my home screen. So that's called the quit function, quit feature. So you're pretty much quitting a screen to go back to your home screen, and then you can go to any other screen that you need to. Let's say I need to go back to y equals. I can go to y equals. So that's what that is for. All right, let's go to the next function. So window settings. So you use window settings to adjust what you can see of the coordinate plane. So if you guys remember, let me go back to my graph on my webcam. You guys see that this is pretty much limited. This is a pretty small area of the coordinate plane we're seeing. If you notice, this is a -10 by 10 by -10 by 10 view you are seeing. It's only limited to that. Let's say you need to see something bigger. Let's say the function you plotted, you need to see its value at like 50. You want 50 in each direction. So you're going to have to manipulate your calculator and play with it so that you can have a larger window. This is what we call a window, your viewing window. Viewing window as in what you can see of the thing of what you just graphed. So in order to adjust the viewing window, you want to hit the window key. So if you come over to the picture I have, the window key is right to the y equals. So you want to press this first. So let me do it here on my webcam. So I'm going to hit second quit to leave the graph screen, and then I'm going to press the window key. And then you get all these kinds of commands. It might look a little bit daunting, but it's pretty simple because there's only 4 things that you want to adjust. So those things would be your x min, your x max, your y min, and your y max. So your x min determines how small, what your negative range of your x-axis is going to be. What I mean by this is your x-axis going to go to -10 or -50? So it's going to determine that left part of your x-axis. Your x max is going to determine how large your x-axis goes. Is your x-axis going to go up to 10 or is it going up to 200? That's what this determines. It determines kind of the right horizontal part of your graph. And then y min determines how small your y-axis will go. Will your y-axis go to -10 or will it go to -250? So that determines the bottom half of your viewing screen. And then y max kind of determines just your upper half, and it'll determine, does your y-axis go up to 50 or does it go up to 500? So just think of a regular coordinate plane, minimum, maximum. So minimum corresponds to the smallest value, maximum corresponds to the largest value. So that's what these mean. And if you follow my finger, the top command is your x min. Second is x max. Skip x scale. You don't want to mess with this because this messes with the scale of your graph. So each tick mark will right now indicates 1. So if you mess with this, you're going to change the scale of your graph, and you don't want to confuse yourself. As my teacher always said, don't mess with this x scale or the y scale. And then you have your y min and your y max. Like I wrote up here, don't mess with your other controls. So in order to change these controls, what I do is I hit clear. So hit your clear. And then let's say I want to make my x min -50. So I would go down here, press my negative, type in 50, and if you guys see, my x min has changed to accommodate that. And when I hit graph, you see how my graph has significantly changed to accommodate the -50 that I asked for? So the window settings are useful if you need to change your viewing screen. So make sure you guys know how to do this so you can view specific parts of your function that you need to see. All right, let's go to the next function. Zoom features. So let's say I manipulated my screen a lot, like I'm all the way over here at -50, and I want to return to my standard viewing screen, that 10 by -10 and 10 by -10 screen. Let's say I want to return to that. So there's 2 ways you can do this. You can either restart your calculator, which I showed you guys in the last video how to restart your calculator, but a simpler way to do that to save you time is using zoom features. So in order to use the zoom features, you want to go to the zoom key. So if you come up to the picture I have on the screen, I'll show you where the zoom key is. Zoom key is right between the window key and the trace key. So you want to hit the zoom key first, and then after that you just want to hit your 6, and the 6th option is Z standard, which is pretty much your zoom standard, and standard is your standard viewing screen, which is that 10 by -10 and 10 by -10. If you're a little bit confused, let me show you up here on the webcam how to do it. So let's say I want to return to my standard viewing screen to see this graph of the x plus y equals x plus 1 function I just graphed. So first, I want to go to the zoom key, which is right here between the window and the trace key. So I press zoom key, and then I get this whole list of commands. All I'm focusing on is that 6, the Z standard. So either I can scroll all the way down to 6 standard, or as a shortcut, I can just hit 6 because that's the 6th option. So I'm going to press 6, and then bam, I come all the way back to my standard viewing screen. So that's a really quick, easy shortcut if you need to come back to the standard viewing screen without restarting your calculator. All right, so let's get into the GT features. So I never used the GT features in Algebra 2 because it was always easy for me to just switch between my y equals, where my equation is, and then my graph, where that equation is graphed. But for some of you guys, you might be more attuned to visual preferences. You might have a specific way you need to see your functions graphed and written out, or in a table. So this feature pretty much lets you mess around with it. If you guys remember, I talked about the mode menu. The mode menu is really attuned to what you want. So if you want your answers displayed in radian or degree, your calculator will listen to your preferences. So your GT feature allows for your screen to be split between a graph and a table. So whenever I graph my equation, x plus 1, as soon as I hit the graph button, what my calculator will do is it'll make a table of all the points that are part of this equation. For example, the point 0, 1 is part of this equation. My calculator will know that and will store that. Later on in the next slide, I will show you how to access the table, but for now, let me show you this little feature if you guys are interested in it. So in order for you to split the calculator either vertically or horizontally between your graph and your table, because if you want to view both at the same time, I'll show you how to do that. You want to come up here to my picture of a calculator. You want to press mode to go to your mode menu, and you can follow along on the webcam as I show you as well. So I'm going to press mode. And then I come back to that menu I introduced you guys to yesterday. So you want to scroll down to where it says full. So you want to scroll to where it says full. Let me count it for you guys. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's 8 presses of the down button. You see where my cursor is blinking? It says full. So you have the options full, horizontal, and graph table. Graph table is your GT. So if you hit full, let me just hit full. So full is my regular graph. So if I hit graph, you'll only see the graph here. You only see the graph, and then the table is stored on a different screen. Let me go back to my mode menu and scroll down to full. If I hit horizontal and I hit enter to confirm my choice, and I hit graph, look what happens. My graph is displayed up here, and although it's blank, your table will display down here after you enable it. I'll show you guys later. So your table will display down here. If I go back to mode and I go down to full and I scroll to graph table and I hit enter and I hit graph, now it's split down the middle. So your table will appear here, and for this time it appeared, and on this side your graph will appear. So it's pretty much any of your preferences. Let me just review that. In full, if you hit graph, only your graph will show. So your whole screen will be taken up by your graph, and then your table will appear on a separate screen that I will show you how to access in the next slide. If you hit horizontal, then your table will appear on the bottom half of the screen and your graph will appear on the top half. And lastly, if you hit graph table, your graph will appear on the left side of the screen and your table will appear on the right side of the screen. So I'm just going to reset it because this is not my preference. I like full the best. But obviously, I just wanted to show you because many of you are visual learners and you need, like I said, your visuals to be a specific way so you can perform the best. So obviously, like I said, you guys mess around with the mode menu. I'll also link for you guys where you can find further reading on the mode menu like I did in the last video, so you can always play around with those features. Okay, so like I promised, we're going to go over the table function. So if you go to your table on your calculator, in order to access your table, let's go down here to the second bullet where I wrote to access. So in order to access, you want to hit the second key, which is right here in blue, if you guys look at the picture in my cursor, and then you want to hit the graph key. If you see right above the graph key, you have table, and table is in the same color as second. So in order to access the functions that are written above these buttons, like table or calc or things like that, you want to hit second and then the button below which what you are looking for is written. So in this case, we're going to hit second and then we're going to hit table. So let's do it up here on my calculator. So I'm just, for the sake of this, I'm just going to clear out my y equals to show you guys. So there's no equation at all in my y equals. So if I go to my graph, it's blank because there's no equation. So let's go over to the table. So in order to access the table, we hit second and then graph. And obviously my table is also going to be blank because I have no equation in the y equals. If you guys see right up here, I wrote blank table because there is no equation in the y equals. Therefore, you need to put an equation in the y equals if you want your table to actually show you some values. So this is so in order to do that, let's plot that let's write that function out again. Y equals x plus 1. And instead of hitting graph, let me just go directly to the table and show you guys. So now it tells you the values. So at x, it'll tell you the y value. So at the value of x, this function is equal to 1, and so on and so forth. And you can just use the up and down arrows to see the negatives, and then the positives, just the range, and you can just keep going on and on to to see these different values. And I use the table, and many of my classmates use the table to see exact values of the function at different places. So instead of having to, let's say, for a problem on an assessment, it's asking you what is the value of this function when x equals 3. So you're obviously trying to find y. So instead of plugging x into the equation, you can save time in that computation by going directly to your graph. So if I want to find out what y is when x equals 3, I go to where x is equal to 3, and then when I look to the right, I see that it corresponds with 4. So this is the 0.34 is that point, and the answer would be 4. So this is very easy and quick way for you guys to be able to see values of the function at different places when you're asked on assessments or just by your teacher in general. So it's really useful. All right, let's go to the next slide. This will be our last slide today, and we will be going over the CALC menu. So the CALC menu has many uses with graphs. Like I said, this is pretty premature for me to be showing you guys a lot of these graphing features. That's why this video is a little bit shorter than the other ones. But for now, I want to focus on value and intersect. I know you guys might not know what those mean right now, but I'll show you and you'll get the hang of it. First of all, let's talk about how you get to the CALC menu. So if you come up here to my picture, I'll show you how to get to the CALC menu. You want to hit your second key, and then you want to hit your trace key. If you see above the trace key, CALC is written. Like I just explained with the table, to access CALC, you want to hit second and then trace, and you'll get to CALC. So let's do it here on my calculator. So I hit second, and then I hit trace, and I'm at the CALC menu. Calculate. That's why it says calculate. All right, so to get for value, you are pretty much looking, so you're giving the calculator an x value, and you're pretty much asking the calculator, hey, I'm going to give you this x value, and I'm going to give you the equation of a function. Can you tell me what the corresponding y value is? Can you tell me what the value of the function is for this x value I am giving you? So just think about that for a second, pause the video, and think about that. So you are giving the calculator an x value, and you're asking it to give you a y value or the value of the function at that x value. So in order to do this, I have my x plus 1 function already in the calculator. So in order to do this, let's actually see how. So in order to do value, you want to hit 1, the first key, which says value. If you guys see up here, you obviously know where 1 is on your calculator. So I'm going to press 1. And then it takes me here, it graphs the equation for me, and you'll see here x equals, and then your cursor is blinking. So you're supposed to put the x value. You're supposed to give the calculator the x value, like I put here, put in the value. So I'm just going to give you a random value. I'm just going to put -1 in. And then after that, you're going to hit enter, and it'll tell you what the y value is when x is equal to -1. It'll tell you the value of the function at -1. So that's what value is used for. You give the calculator an x value, it gives you a y value. On the flip side, intersect is the calculator is asking you for a y value, and you're going to give it and it's going to give you back an x value. However, intersect is not so straightforward. So let's say, for example, let's go to my y equal. Let's say I want to know what the x value is when the y value is 6, for example. So I'm going to use the same y equals x plus 1. So I want to know what the x value is when y equals x plus 1 is equal to 6. So in order to do that, what you have to do is you have to know what the the y value you're looking for is. In this case, I'm looking for 6. So I would hit 6, and I would make sure that my y2 has 6 typed into it, because that's the y value that I have been given, and I'm going to be putting it into the calculator. So let's see what happens. You hit graph. You see a horizontal line at 6 going across the screen. It's intercepting this x plus 1 function. So this is a horizontal line intersecting this x plus 1 function. So horizontal lines are denoted by y equals something. They have a 0 slope. So that's why I didn't put an x in there. But you might be a little bit confused. Again, like I told you, it's not as straightforward as the value function. Intersect, you type in your y value, and it'll graph a horizontal line. And what you want to do is you want to see where these two lines intersect. It'll give you a point, and then the x value of that point is your answer. Let me show you what I mean. So then you want to go to your CALC menu again, Second, trace. You'll go back to your CALC menu, and then the intersect function is function number 5. So you can either scroll down. I'm just going to press 5, and then I'm back all the way back to my graph. So what you do here, as you guys see on my instructions, you want to hit enter 3 times. So your enter key again is down here. So you're going to press enter 3 times. 1, 2, 3. So then it'll tell you the intersection, and the intersection is the point 5, 6. So 6 is what we put in. It's that horizontal line, and it'll tell you where the function is equal to 6, what the x value is there, and our answer is 5. So to this, our answer would be 5. If you were saying the value, what is the x value when the value of the function of y equals x plus 1 is 6? Well, your answer would be x equals 5. And for any kind of scenario like this, for when you're given the y value and you need to find the x value, you use this horizontal line intersection method. So I would highly recommend you guys pause and replay what I just said. I reiterated a lot, but I think it would be beneficial for you to understand that, because all through my Algebra 2 year, that was such a crucial method of finding the x value that my teacher taught me. All right. Well, guys, that's all I have for you today. Again, that was graphing features on the Texas Instrument Calculator. That was part of my second episode on the Texas Instrument Calculator. The first was basic functions and operations, and then I'll be bringing you 2 more in the days and the week to come. So don't you worry. I recommend that you guys rewatch that video, take notes, even follow along with your calculator, pause, read the instructions. I have given you guys instructions. Please use that to your advantage. I hope this video was valuable to you guys. Again, my name is Anita Raj, and eCoreAcademy brought me to you today. So please like this video for the effort I put into it, and also subscribe to the channel to show your support for our community, for myself and my brother. We love bringing you videos. We love teaching people and spreading knowledge, especially during these uncertain times with COVID. We also hope you're staying safe and using your time the best you can, being as productive as possible, and really trying to make a difference in your capacity the way you can. Again, our website is www.ecoreacademy.org. I will link this in the description. We have a Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram accounts going up, and I will also add those to the description when they do. Lastly, if you need any correspondences or you need to contact us with suggestions or questions or anything like that, if you don't want to comment publicly, please just email us at ecoreacademy@gmail.com. We will get back to you as soon as possible. So that's all I have for you guys today. Again, I hope this video was beneficial. Please stay safe during these COVID times, and we'll be coming back with another TI calculator video soon. Thank you, and have a nice day.